Now, our entrepreneur today is a rice farmer. And in this particular story, we're looking at what varieties are actually good for you as a business person, because we're trying to train on this show people who can do different activities, including farming, not just as, an activity that has to be done, but as a business.
Out of the varieties that we have in this block farm, we have Nereka 2, narrow rice 2, then we have Nereka 1 in this garden. Why we have chosen the 3 varieties of rice here, they are high yielding variety, then they produce high quality, which are marketable. Then in this block farm, we divided the farmer groups into blocks where they can be able to manage the rice. And in each acre, we projected that when the agronomic practices of rice is taken very well, you can be able to produce 2.5 tons to 3 tons of rice harvest in this block farm. We plant them in sequence because once they all get ready in this garden, post-harvest handling become an issue in this garden, where in this place where I am standing, part of the rice they are harvesting, part of the rice are getting ready, part of the rice they are still putting more seeds. That is the model we are using with these farmers. Here in this block farm, when we take the cost-benefit analysis of this garden, in 1 acre, which is called 1 block, you will be able to harvest like 2.5 tons. 2.5 tons, when we translate it into the local language, that is already 2,500 kilograms. Each kilogram is 3,500 in the market, but the prices normally increases with the time. And when you multiply 3,500 times the total kilograms that you are supposed to get in an acre, gives you how much you are supposed to earn in an acre or a block. Meaning, if you multiply that figure, you'll be able to get like 8 million roughly in 1 acre.
Now, in the world that has become more sensitive about the environment or climate for that matter, traceability has become a very critical element in production and export. Now, people are interested in knowing how responsive you are to matters environment in certain markets. And I see the trend peaking in other areas, of course, including Uganda, as we build a critical mass of more exposed people and enlightened. Today, we're finding out why it's important to actually have that information on some of your product lines.
Start thinking green, because right now when you travel to Germany, you'll find that every product on the shelf has to declare its carbon footprint. If you're picking a bar of chocolate, on the cover you're going to find there that this chocolate accounts for 150 kilograms of carbon foot emissions through its processing and production and packaging and transporting to the shelf. And so right now we are seeing a trend in Europe where people who look for real estate as companies, they are responsibly looking for real estate that does not have a high embodied carbon. So when you use a high carbon cement to do construction, when the planning of your construction is insensitive to carbon footprint, then you have a building that has a very high embodied carbon, and you start seeing corporate entities that are coming to rate buildings because they are penalized for their carbon footprint. They start looking for buildings that have very low embodied carbon. And that means those are buildings that use greener materials. So the smarter real estate developer is going to think low carbon to de-risk their buildings from future carbon emission related risks, so they can get very good tenants who can pay good money.
This is a company that we started in lockdown with a group of 7 young girls. The fact that in lockdown very many schools were closed off, we didn't want these girls to go idle. So we came up with something. It was me and my business partner. As we started, it was really challenging because we had to train from scratch. We would recycle glass bottles. We used to move around streets looking for empty bottles from bars. The few bottles we collected, we began by training these 7 girls that we got, so that they are busy and they can begin up their small businesses, because none of us really knew how long the pandemic would go. So when we started with these young girls, we taught them, as we were also learning. We had never done any glass art before. I personally am a professional industrial artist, and my business partner, so we were like, we needed something that is more artistic, that would not be boring, that would make everyone get involved and be interested. So we started with a few glass bottles, and we used to move around to look for business with them. By then we didn't have any machine, so we used to cut sand and the glasses. We used to do all that by hand. Everything was manual. It was not easy, but over time everyone fell in love with it. I'm an artist, and I have another group of artists around. We invent these shapes and sizes. We ended up also beginning to make glass beads. We ended up going from cold glass, which is glass cutting, the normal drinking glasses, the bowls, the flower vases, and all that, to the hot glass. That's pounding the glass to powder, melting it, and coming up with different shapes of glass beads, glass jewelry. But our biggest clients right now are different hotels. Hotels give us orders. Some of them transport their bottles to our workshop, and then we work on their orders and we transport them back. So far, the biggest achievement we've achieved is we managed to purchase a sanding machine, so we don't do everything manually like before. It was more hectic and tiresome. Now, us, Glass Girls Uganda, have come up with this new idea. In other words, this glass we recycle is more trustworthy than the imported glass everyone trusts. But then the sensitization is still going on, because it's a challenge to us. Sometimes we go out there marketing, and people are going to tell you, how do I trust that there are no small particles in it? Because I trust this glass better. So you have to sensitize them, you have to assure them. But then first and foremost, before we put a glass on the shelf, or before we put a glass on markets, we first test it. Each glass. Here as workers, we use our own glasses for our tea, our drinking. So we first test a glass before we put it out there. Now, our glasses here are very thick. They are made thick. The reason why they are more durable and more better is because their body is made for exportation. This idea of glass recycling, has helped us to conserve the environment.
Well, that brings us to the end of this week's edition of Man on Market. Thank you for being part of the show. Now, we still have quite a number of stories on our digital platforms, on our YouTube channel and our TikTok channel. Now, you can pick these and more stories, and more so get a chance to actually reach out to some of our great innovators and entrepreneurs on these platforms. Now, from me and team, I'd like to wish you a very good evening. God bless you.